All right, welcome back to the second generation Monte Carlo how-to videos, the Monte series as I like to call them. Today I'm going to show you how to remove your vinyl top trim going across the bottom of your car around the perimeter of your vinyl top. Fairly simple, just a few key points to how to get it done. They do have two studs on them. They're 3/8 inch nuts basically. I've already removed these. They're right on the bottom side. One's on the back panel that goes across the valance, and it goes across the bottom side of the window. These I'm not worried about. These hardly break, the studs. These are the ones that are impossible to find, and if you get into a position where you break one, you're probably going to end up having to buy a whole new top, because most of the time these never survive without the rest of it. I typically don't part them out unless these are broke and I have that portion. So very rarely do I end up selling pieces and parts of these. These corner pieces you will never find. Generally on the cars they fall off, or like on this car some of the pieces were off of it already. So luckily everything's here, and this is a complete half top for your vinyl trim. So most of the time these things rust out because your vinyl top holds moisture underneath, and then when that creeps down this way towards the stud, it starts creating moisture. These bolt heads have a butyl tape on them, and this one's all dried out. You can see the remnants inside there, but that butyl tape is meant to seal the hole so water doesn't get in and start dripping. That always didn't happen. Over time these things dry out. Butyl tape isn't made to last forever, so when you get inside there, you're kind of playing a little Russian roulette. Right on the inside you see those two holes. That's where those bolts go, those studs on those exterior trim panels. So sometimes on really rusty cars I will get inside with a cutoff wheel and I will cut this head off of that stud to try to save the trim. These pieces, here's your corner and here's the stud I'm talking about. This is molded into the actual piece itself. These things are crimped together. Sometimes they come off in this section like that. Other times this piece stays inside there. It just depends on who crimped them, the day that they crimped them at the factory. And you can see these are crimped pretty good. So you just got to kind of wiggle everything back and forth when you get these two pieces together. Just wiggle one, wiggle the other one, and eventually something will loosen up whichever side that they crimped. So this is the side that they crimped on this one. That's a little blurry if it could focus. But this is the side that they crimped on this one, and then this one let go on me on the top. So very simple to remove the trim once you get the bolts off. Like I said, if you need to cut them, that's fine. But pretty much all you do is get underneath them, give them a little pry. These things are never going to get saved. They slide on there. They are a very, very small, tiny little clip. The studs are welded on to the car itself. So these can be found aftermarket. You can weld these studs back on if you need to. You can weld those things back on if you're putting the top back on or anything like that. So these pieces are aftermarket. They can be found online. eBay has a lot of them. And then basically you just kind of run around the car and pop off all the pieces. I think this one, based on the other side, yep, it'll slide right out of here. So there you go. Everything comes apart, nice and super simple. I've got a full half top set here ready to go to somebody who needs it. Like I said, most of the time these survive pretty decently, so I kind of keep them around. But as long as they got the studs on them, that's all you really need to put the things back on. And I always put the bolts and stuff back with them just so I don't lose them. These you can find pretty general in most hardware stores and stuff. They're just like a barrel nut, pretty simple. So that's how you remove your top. Now if you wanted to grind these heads off of the bolts, or of the actual car, you could do that. You could grind them and basically shave that thing off of there so you don't have a top anymore. But it's up to you guys. The tops are cool if they're done correctly. Nowadays they'll last forever. Back then people drove them, put them through the abuse of winter and everything else, and this is what happened to them. You know, the tops were really just corroded from the start basically. So again, these cars don't get driven like they did back in the day when they were actually passenger vehicles. So I wouldn't hesitate to put a new top on a car if I was going to do it myself and I wanted one. If I was scared about it, I would basically paint this section whatever color I want and put the trim back on, paint it the same color, and you're good to go. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, let me know in the comments.